with that, I'm going to actually ask Linda Fries to join me up here. Linda is one of our lead occupational therapists, and Linda and Mary Naston, who you may know that name. Mary was a founder of InStride, but Mary and Linda kind of worked tirelessly and conceived of this idea of a sensory riding arena. But this arena wouldn't be possible if it weren't for the generosity of some folks. So I just wanted to thank the Bank of America Klein Foundation for their grant that allowed us to move this process forward over the past year and a half. And specifically, I think we have some folks from the organization that are here today. I don't know your faces, but I think I know your names. So if I say it right, so Liz Summerling, so I can read your name tag, so know that's you. Kim Beach, and Marianne Smith. Great. Well, we thank you very much. And with that, I'm going to let Linda tell you a little bit more about the concept, and then I'll come back and we'll get a demo started for you.
Okay, going in again on the theme of literacy, we started the whole framework for the sensory arena by first going in and looking at the International Classification of Function documentation from the World Health Organization, and we use that to scaffold the goals that we're going to be trying to address in this area. And once we had those scaffolds built, we went and we got some books. The Very Hungry Caterpillar was one of them. Eating the Alphabet was the other that we started with. Those two books were driving an awful lot of what you're going to see. So if you look at the plaques on the edge, they're either from Eating the Alphabet or they're from the Very Hungry Caterpillar. We have a rock caterpillar down here. We have started to paint mailboxes with themes on them. I'm working on finding books to go with each theme, but because many of our writers are nonverbal and they're pre-literate, the goal is to find books that have very few words, lots of colors, lots of shapes, lots of things that we can identify, and that are commonly found in early childhood classrooms, so that the kids might have been exposed to them at school or at home, and then we can layer all those experiences in here. So it's a work in progress. And what I brought out today, this is one of the kinds of props that we're developing. So there's a caterpillar on here. It's a magnetic, so the kids can take it out of the mailbox. They can do the patterning on the pattern. I can give them blank patterns. I have different magnets to grade the kind of grasp or the amount of strength that they're going to need to move the magnets around. This is just an example of the kinds of things that we're doing, and it is going to keep going. We're going to keep developing it. One of the difficulties about doing things on horseback is that we are on a mobile surface, and we're on a mobile surface that reacts strongly to some of the sensory experiences that we would like to expose the children to. So we have to be pretty careful about noise. We have to be pretty careful about things that move very quickly. Part of the whole evolution was to plant the sensory garden so we could have smell and color and things blowing in the breeze, and try to tap into all of the sensory systems without doing anything that was going to be alarming or alerting to a prey animal like a horse. And I guess that's pretty much it.
Thank you, Linda. I also want to just give a shout out to my staff and all the volunteers that made this possible. There's a lot of people that were a part of this. So I just wanted to talk about one more thing before we do the demo, and this is a and I apologize if this sounds a little too clinical, but this is also a very important component of anything that's sensory related. So over the past 30 years, through the study of neurology, we've learned a number of things. And one of the things that we have learned is a term it's called neuroplasticity. And what neuroplasticity is, what we've learned is that the brain can be rewired. So that process of rewiring, in many cases, is a result of some sensory experience, whether that's delivered in a learning center environment, or in our case, we hope we can create some of those sensory experiences on horseback. So we endeavor going forward to be able to bring a couple of different disciplines together. there. And from a therapeutic perspective, or from a practically speaking perspective, we begin to stack some of these therapies together. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to drive outcomes and benefits more so by bringing those different disciplines together. So there'll be more to come on that as we go forward, and we're going to do some things with the folks at Easter Seals as it relates to bringing more of that learning center kind of a model to the fold. So we're also very excited about that. We are going to cut this ribbon, and if we could all just give this a big round of applause, because this has been a tireless effort, and we are so excited to be able to do this. So thank you. Now I'll let Hannah speak.
So my name is Hannah, and I'm one of the physical therapists here at InStride, and I've been with InStride for about a year. So we'll introduce, we have our horse, which is Hope, and our rider, Sue. And then we also have, whenever a client comes to InStride for hippotherapy, they always have the horse trainer. It's a big team. They have the horse trainer, the horse leader, the 2 sidewalkers, and then of course the rider and the therapist. So we all work together. So this is where we're going to start. And during the session, it's usually about 30 minutes, and we always start from the inside the arena. But now that we have this sensory arena, we're going to be exploring outside and inside. And so you'll notice on the ground we have the ground poles. And so they're starting. So Linda, the therapist, is having Sue reach outside of her base of support. And like that, the fine motor skills that Linda was hinting at, so trying to grasp that beanbag. And the trunk rotation that she has to do to turn around, as well as the extension of her arm. So some of the goals that we would incorporate that is with dressing and also with mobility. So when you're walking, you're doing trunk rotation, and as the horse steps over, the horse is shortening one side and lengthening the other. So that's also like when we're walking, one side is going forward, the other side is shortening or lengthening. And you can see that Linda's having Sue hold the beanbags in different positions. So all of that can be used to engage their core, their trunk, and their upper extremity muscles. And we're still incorporating, so with the literacy focus, we're gonna have, kids say whoa at the different letters, or identifying the shapes or fruits on the plaques out there. And then with the mailboxes, once again using the reaching outside base of force, or base of support, and also just following directions or seeing if they can complete 1 to 2 step task. So working on the coordination, passing a beanbag or a ball from one hand to the other. And all of this, because we're on a mobile base of support, you're going to be engaging your core, your pelvic and hip muscles are all benefiting from that. Once again, that reaching across midline, that's a big thing in early intervention. Can the child reach across the midline? Can they track the object, track the mailbox? Those are all things that we're accomplishing here in the sensory arena. As well as when you're changing directions, so going through some of the obstacle courses here, you're doing figure 8s, different patterns, and that is causing you to weight shift on the horse. So you're engaging your core. All right, and then what we have here is the ramp or hill. And what they're gonna get here for kids who, like cerebral palsy, have a lot of gross motor deficits, or maybe not be able to walk yet, they're gonna get hip, anterior and posterior pelvic tilt. And that's gonna do the same thing as facilitating as if they were walking. And I know it's a little hard to see what they're coming up to, but that's going to be, that's Sawyer's Corner. And Linda is going to be handing a magnetic fishing pole to Sue, the rider here. And Dana both mentioned the images, the colorfuls, they're all, the different colors, they're all adding to the sensory experience that they're getting and just enhancing the hippotherapy aspect. And the therapist might add in identifying the colors. If they're more advanced, can you spell the different colors? Those are different tasks that we may use to challenge the rider. And then a coordination task, throwing while keeping your balance on the horse, is very difficult for kids with autism or if they have more of a gross motor deficits. And so here she's balancing the beanbag on Sue's foot to try and see if she can do a motor planning task, if she can figure out, oh, I have to lift my leg up, reach across my body and grab that beanbag. All while keeping my balance and posture, so there's a lot that goes into it. All right, and so this is where we'll stop. And I want to thank Sue, our rider, and then our sidewalkers, and Susan, the horse leader. And of course, we have to thank Hope, who did an awesome job. And before the horse and the rider can even come into the sensory arena, there's a lot of work that gets done on the other side. So preparing the horse to all the different sounds, noises, colors, the water fountain, the flowing water fountain. So all that just to get Hope ready and then put a child on her. So a lot of work goes in. So big clap again for Hope.
I also want to thank a couple other organizations that participated in helping us get this arena prepared. So the mailboxes that you see here, there's one this in here, the blue and white with the three boxes on top and one on the opposite side. That was a Boy Scout, Eagle Scout, thank you, project. So he came to us. Part of his project was to conceive the design, buy the material, construct it, execute the design and deliver it. So we're grateful for that. And then we've had periodically had some folks from the 4-H here, and this Sensory Garden actually was a 4-H project. So a lot of the nursery stock was donated by Artistry or purchased, and they came and dug all the holes and did all the plantings and spread all the mulch. So we're grateful for their time. And my point for making that or making you aware of that is that organizations like ours would not subsist if it was not for our volunteers and the volunteer work that we get. So from my perspective, I have to very often remind myself of that every day. There's a lot that has to get done, and there are not enough of us some days to get it all done. And if it weren't for our volunteers, we wouldn't exist as an organization. So that's a shout out to all our volunteers who help us every single day, every week, every month. So I'm going to ask you to join me now. We're going to actually take a quick walk. And we're going to head over to the corner of the Sensory Riding Arena.